Hey, I'm Sandi Hefner. I've been vegan for 26 and a half years. I went vegan in November of '94, a few weeks before Thanksgiving. Why? Because I learned the horrors of what happens to the animals in factory farms and medical and cosmetic testing, and realizing that I was being a part of something I could never do myself by spending my money on these atrocities. My conscience wouldn't let me continue the life that I was living. I quit eating red meat quite some time ago because it never set well. It made me feel like I had just eaten bricks. So I started thinking about, well, if I don't eat cows, why do I eat chickens or fish or other animals? And I started looking for information. I remember writing to various animal rights organizations, please send me info about your organization, and getting free stuff in the mail, as we didn't have the internet or YouTube. The more I learned, the more I started, more or less aligning my diet and lifestyle with what my conscience was telling me was the right thing to do. It's funny because I remember exactly where we were and what we were eating when we made that decision. But people ask me this all the time, like, what was the first piece of vegan literature I got? And that I can't remember. And it bugs me because I'm usually real good about details like that. Like I can remember what I wore the first day of junior high, weird stuff like that, it's useless, but it takes up space up here. I mean, I was a PETA member back in 1990, so from reading various things and whatnot and learning about things. And it's also fun seeing the literature, because I remember Vegan Outreach, when they were still in Ohio, it was basically white paper, black ink, and maybe a little bit of red thrown in. It wasn't like the full color glossies that they have now. So some of that stuff that I had, I actually contacted the various organizations. I said, I have some of your first literature. Do you want it back for your archives? So, and sent it back to them, which I thought was sort of cool. But anyway, so I didn't mention my husband is also vegan. We went vegan together 26 and a half years ago. When I started researching this, like why we ate some animals, and I would just inform him about oh, did you know that the male calves and the male pigs were castrated without anesthesia? Or did you know the male chicks, which are useless on an egg-laying farm, were ground up alive in a grinder? And to his dismay, this was information that was not made available to us all the time. The industry did not want us to know these atrocities that were going on in slaughterhouses. I started just looking into what I was eating and why I was eating it, and then I would just share information, like tell him what I learned, or I would hey, I just got this new mag or this new pamphlet, take a look at it. Just looking at the stuff together and discussing it, that, man, this is really terrible. I don't really put money into that. Really, we made the decision to go vegan together. I said I maybe started a little bit ahead of time, by stopping eating red meat and just sharing information. But yeah, I think it was kind of like a mutual agreement that we know enough, we know how to do this, we know why we're doing it, and this is how we choose to live the rest of our lives. So as we learned more and were basically shocked and appalled by what was going on, it was really easy to make the switch. So yeah, we did that together, and it hasn't been a problem since, and I honestly can't imagine living any other way. Well, physically, because ever since I was a kid, I used to get horrible sore throats, like tonsillitis, strep throat, pharyngitis, a lot of respiratory issues. I would get multiple throughout the year, and that's one thing that stopped when I went vegan. Also, my skin cleared up. I used to have terrible acne. It was so bad I used to have to get shots in the face from the dermatologist. That cleared up. My body felt lighter. Just a lot of things improved. Why do I think it's important for everyone to be vegan? Isn't that kind of like asking, is it important for anyone to be a good person, to be an honest person, to be a caring person? Veganism is all about being compassionate to the planet, to the animals, to yourself. So if anyone has compassion, I don't see how they could look at what happens in a factory farm and how the animals are treated as mere commodities and not feel something inwardly that this is not right. Challenges I face being vegan, I think one of the ones I noticed early on, because I thought after I read about the horrible things that happened to the animals that we call food, I thought as soon as other people learned about this, that they would be like me and say, oh, I can't be a part of this anymore. I'm not going to fund that, and I'm going to change the way I eat and live. And I was kind of wrong about that, which was very disappointing. So I found that to be challenging, to realize that not everybody seemed to care. I tried to make, the little victories, the people that were at least willing to take a flyer from me or to watch a video about the animal welfare, and then just leading by example. To be kind and compassionate and provide a good specimen of a healthy person, a healthy vegan. Family, not so much. I mean, I've always kind of done what I wanted to do, and I can be quite stubborn on things, so I really wasn't affected by what family thought. Not that it was really an issue. With some friends, I think like a lot of us, we did lose friends when we went vegan, and I wasn't included as many things. Like if coworkers were going out to eat, you might not be invited because they were going out for wings or whatnot. Until really that I found other people like me, it was a little bit lonely. Found other people that thought and lived like I did. And it's definitely gotten easier with the internet, Facebook, meetup groups. But back then it was, it definitely was more challenging. So I went vegan when the grocery store did not sell plant-based milk or a lot of the things. We used to go to this weird little health food store. I remember buying like powdered soy milk. Oh my God. So when people tell me it's hard, I'm like, you don't know the meaning of hard. I'd go to restaurants and people would think we were of some kind of weird religion, and I'd order a baked potato plain and salad, no cheese, no bacon, no. So I would get a bowl of lettuce. And it's just, it's amazing again, how selfish people are. I mean, because I like food, I love to eat, I like my goodies, and but you learn how to cook a few things, and it really wasn't that difficult. It's akin to not stealing. I don't have the idea of stealing anytime I go into a store, even though there's stuff I wanted. And it's the same thing. Over the years, I've tried to think of clever euphemisms for why I do what I do, and things that people might get. Because, especially people that rescue like dogs and cats, it's like, well, why are you eating these animals? And then like, we've always done it. And it's like, well, at one time we said that about slavery and, women's rights. I mean, if that were the case, if we always done it, I wouldn't be voting and I'd probably be barefoot and pregnant. The only regret that I have is that I didn't do it sooner. I encourage others to be vegan by living by example, to try to be the best specimen of a vegan I can be, to spread information in a benevolent fashion and have them realize what their choices, the difference that they make. We can all make a difference just by the simple choices that we make in our lives. So many of us go through life wanting to make a difference, but not really doing anything about that. This is something you can make a difference in that will help yourself, the animals, and the planet. I've been a personal trainer for over 20 years to show that you can maintain your weight and muscle mass through a vegan diet, that you can be healthier, and you can do something that will align with your values. I mean, most people don't believe in animal cruelty. If you hear about a dog that was, beaten by a neighbor, most of us are incensed about that. Why don't we extend it to include all animals, not just dogs and cats and the animals we call pets? I do leafleting. I have in the past done some protesting. It's been a little difficult with the whole pandemic. I do things online. I've mentored many people over the years, mostly from a distance. So I really try to get the word out in a way that feels comfortable for me, that I feel will be effective to everyone. In my life, like people would see me at the gym or out, when I'm put together, and they'd be like, you look great, I can't believe. And then a lot of times, I'm a good bit older than they are. And they're like, oh, what do you do? And that to me is the perfect lead in. And I'm like, I don't eat animals. And then of course, where do you get your protein? Where do you get your calcium? Where do you get your God only knows what? I think when people that call themselves vegan stop being vegan, for one, I don't really feel they fully grasp the meaning of the word. I mean, vegan is dynamic harmlessness. Unfortunately, the term has been bastardized over the years, where it comes down to a plant-based diet and nothing to do with ethics. So if you don't have an ethical belief behind something you're doing, you're less likely to stick with it. Because I can tell you from experience, if I did this just a diet without any belief behind it, I wouldn't have lasted. If I did it for a diet to, weigh what I weigh or to look how I look, that wouldn't have been enough motivation. But to me, it's akin to If I go to a department store and there's things that I want that maybe I can't afford, I would never think to steal them. I just wouldn't do that. So it's the same with this. Once I stopped eating animals because I believed I was doing the right thing and that I didn't want to cause harm or pay for others to cause harm, it was easy to stick with that. If people have a strong belief behind what they're doing, it's so much easier to do. Other reasons why they might not, maybe their spouse or significant other isn't vegan and they're giving them some difficulty over their choices, or their family is not being understanding, or they haven't educated themselves on what a healthy vegan diet is, and they're either not eating enough or not eating they're eating the wrong things. I mean, let's face it, a lot of beers and a lot of French fries are all vegan, but you can't live on those forever. So. As a vegan, I just started eating more of the foods that I always ate that just didn't have animals in them. Most of us have things like that we really like. For instance, every morning I eat oatmeal with blueberries and flaxseed. That's easy to do. I try to incorporate some higher protein foods like tofu and tempeh, some that are less processed than the mock meats. I eat a lot of fruit, I eat a lot of vegetables, I eat nuts and seeds and whole grain bread, and pretty much a whole food diet most of the time. However, that 20% of the time, I love vegan burgers, vegan pizza, some vegan junk food. So. Get a mentor like myself. I do this for free, always have, always will. And information, there is so much information on the internet, on YouTube. If you look up vegan recipes, vegan lifestyle, you will be floored with how much free info is out there. And learn what foods you like that don't have animal products in it. And learn a few good recipes. I myself am a lazy cook. I tend to make the same few things over and over, and that's fine. But because it can be easy. You don't need special equipment. You don't need to go to fancy stores. You don't need to spend a lot of money on a vegan diet. So. The best vegan resources I think are out there, one, and probably my top favorite, is Vegan Outreach. They have some of the best literature. It's factual, it's well written. I think that could be very helpful to anyone. Contact all of them, ask for free information, and decide which one is best for you. For more information about vegan nutrition, I highly recommend Dr. Michael Greger at Nutrition Facts, or Dr. Neil Barnard at Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Both have great books and videos on YouTube. If it came down to, oh, you have to eat meat or you're going to die, well, I guess I'm going to die, because I'm not willing to give in on what I deem is the way to live, like my ethics. That proverbial, oh, on the desert island with the pig. Seriously, I mean, come on. One doctor wanted to do, I don't remember the test, but I think it's kind of an archaic. They want you to eat an egg, a piece of toast, and like drink milk, and they see how long it takes to go through your system, which is crazy because you could eat beets and you're going to know exactly when that goes through your system because the color. And I'm like, I can't do this. This is against everything I believe. And also I pointed out that, look, I haven't had dairy products in 26 years. I said, don't you think that's going to affect me different than somebody who drinks it all the time? So I refused. And did they understand? I doubt it. But that's like, would you ask a Muslim or a Jew to eat pork? No, they wouldn't. So it's I've been vegan for a very long time. I think it has helped me in so many parts of my life. It keeps me perpetually young. I just turned 56. And it's made me look at things differently. I think I'm less selfish. I care about other things now. I care about animal welfare. I care about the planet. I care about my own health. As far as nutrients are concerned, I can't say I've really ever worried. I feel good, I look good, and I'm able to do what I do in the gym. And I just eat good quality vegan food. It's something you really don't need to think about that much once you learn a little bit about it.